Hey, Warpugs. So, Shadrach Medusan wanted me to check out something from Majorkill, and it would be which Loyalist chapters were created using Traitor Geneseed. Now, this is made by Majorkill, and I love the cover art for it, but essentially off the top of my head, okay, Silver Skull's right out. I am fully convinced that they are the remains of barbarous Antias, Loyalist Iron Warriors that were on Pharaohs. The Death Eagles, that's Fulgrim's Legion, okay? It was like, okay, Death Eagles, I can't remember why, I think it's mainly a naming. A lot of the things that point to these sorts of things are when you have a symbol or a name that is like the chapter symbol is very reminiscent of symbols used by other like Traitor Legions, or the name itself. Death Eagles, I'm pretty sure Death Eagles was one of the names given to the Emperor's children. The Soul Drinkers for obvious reasons. The Minotaurs for even more obvious reasons. The Carcharodons are Night Lords, and if you think I'm wrong, I'll fight you over it. Blood Ravens. Duh. Blood Ravens. Any more? There's one more that comes to mind. I cannot think of their name, but they're supposed to be a salamander successor. But not with that pauldron. In any case, we're going to get into basically their word bearers, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to get into this. This is Majorkill. We're going to have some fun. Which Loyalist legions were created using Traitor Geneseed? Let's go. Let's see how many. I know I missed some.
G'day guys and gal, this might be a bit of a hot take, but you can't judge someone by their Geneseed. Space Marines are engineered to be loyal to their Primarchs, so it's no wonder that most of each Traitor Legion followed their daddy's footsteps to hell.
True.
Despite that though, about 1/3 of each Traitor Legion was still Loyalist and required purging, while some of the best characters in the entire setting, Garviel Loken, Rylanor, Saul Tarvitz, were from Traitor Geneseed.
Right.
So it may not surprise you that there are a number of incredibly effective and deadly Loyalist Space Marine chapters that use parts of Traitor Geneseed, or literally the entire thing, to create their Space Marines. Belsarius Call has even used Traitor Geneseed in the new Primaris. Is it heresy?
Yes.
Are the chapters that use Traitor Geneseed incredibly badass? Also yes, and that is worth talking about. Before we get started, you've probably heard of Manscaped by now. A massive supporter of the channel and a brand whose products I genuinely use all the time. The Lawnmower 4.0 to keep the hedges trimmed. The Plow 2.0, a single-bladed razor that deletes my neck beard without a fuss. On top of various other things like ball deodorant that annihilates stanky wiener. But the star of today is the Boxers 2.0.
Nice.
A set of super comfy, slickly styled, and very breathable boxers for any situation. If you finally managed to get a girl to take your pants off, you don't want to ruin the moment with some fringe undies. Instead, if you had Manscaped's black and gold, pinstripe, or even the safe all black, you'd be in the clear to finish the job. After all, you probably would have also used a few other Manscaped products by that point, meaning you'd be at peak hygiene and groom.
Oh
so to
my
get 20%
God.
off anything at Manscaped, as well as free international shipping, then use
Links are in the code. We don't need any more of this. We
my link and
don't.
code
We
Majorkill
don't.
below. Cheers to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. Today we'll go over each of the Loyalist chapters that are currently using or suspected of using Traitor Geneseed. Let's get into it.
Let's go.
The first of these loyal, totally not heretical
Minotaurs.
are the Minotaurs. The Minotaurs are extremely brutal, effective, and do not question orders. They are
They are hilariously fun in ship engagements if you don't know.
the attack dogs of the High Lords of Terror, and have even attacked and killed a custodian guard because of those orders.
Yes.
So it may come as no surprise that the Minotaurs are derived off Iron Warrior Geneseed, and were created during the Cursed Founding during the 36th millennium, a founding where strange experiments were performed on the Geneseed, which resulted in unusual chapters.
Extremely unusual. The Black Dragons came out of this. The Lamenters came out of this. So many chapters. A lot of them went rogue and then traitor.
The Minotaurs are not cursed to fail though, no. They are beasts. Easily one of the most powerful Loyalist chapters, and the guys the High Lords send when they want to get something annihilated without mercy. After recently beating some Death Guard, they discovered their Geneseed was infected, and are now racing back to Terra to purify their chapter and prevent the loss of their future. It makes sense. The only way to beat an unbeatable force is to prevent their recruitment. Another easy, well-known one now, we have the Space Sharks, the Carcharodons. This one isn't as explicit, but it's heavily implied that the Space Sharks...
They're Night Lords. And if you think I'm wrong, I'll fight you.
Have a mix of Raven Guard and Night Lord Geneseed. This explains their terror tactics, their predatory battle doctrine, and their physical deformities, such as their black eyes and pale skin.
Yes.
The Raven Guard and Night Lords were always considered to be closer in aspect than all other legions, merely being different due to circumstance. The Space Sharks prove this by genuinely being one of, if not the most powerful and fearsome Loyalist chapter in the entire setting. After all, these guys once fought the actual Night Lords at their own game and came out victorious. They, along with the Minotaurs, are known as the chapter that is sent when renegades need to be crushed and destroyed.
And don't forget, the Red Wake is in this chapter. The biggest space marine that there is right now.
Never failing. Their chapter master Tybros is the largest space marine to ever live and likely uses Corvus Corax's siege power claws as his weapons. A bit more of a tongue-in-cheek one, since it definitely comes across as a prank by Cole, is the Sons of the Phoenix chapter. Their iconography looks like Emperor's Children, their name is very Emperor's Children-like, and their color scheme is also very Emperor's Children.
Yeah.
So clearly they are Imperial Fist successors. Yeah, right. It's been confirmed that Cole did use some Traitor Geneseed with the new Primaris, and this is a new Primaris only chapter. However, obviously Cole just can't fucking say that, so instead he lists them as a generic Imperial Fist successor, despite them having no semblance to the Sons of Dawn and their battle tactics resembling Great Crusade era Emperor's Children.
Lovely.
Something also sus about them is that the Thousand Sons also once attacked them in order to kidnap a few of their battle brothers for arcane experiments, perhaps because of the nature of their Geneseed. Either way, you ain't fooling me, G-dubs. I know a slut when I see one. Now onto a fan favorite, we have the Magpies,
the Blood
Ravens. Officially, their Geneseed origins are unknown and have been...
I made what my opinion was clear in Mistakes of the Emperor 6. I don't think they're Thousand Sun successors. I think they were a legion. I think they were the beginnings of a legion meant to replace the Thousand Suns. Records of their existence go back a very long way in Imperial history. They just kind of showed up with no one really having an idea of their origin.
Heavily buried. Attempts to analyze their Geneseed or find out their origins in records ends in failure.
I was waiting for the warbugs to calm down.
It definitely appears to be a deliberate cover-up. That, my friends, is because the Blood Ravens use modified Thousand Suns Geneseed, I strongly believe. They clearly can't just use raw Thousand Sun Geneseed, otherwise they would mutate or become Dust Marines. And
yes, and this is why I say the Emperor offered Magnus a chance. Like Mistakes of the Emperor 6, I hammered this out. The Emperor offered Magnus control of a new legion. I fully believe the Blood Ravens were the beginnings of said legion.
Even if they did use it without issue, Geneseed scanning would reveal it. No, I believe that someone experimented on Thousand Suns Geneseed to stabilize it, removing some of its psychic potency, but also preventing Titsnitch from fucking with it.
Right.
The evidence of this is the fact that the Blood Ravens are absolute sluts for knowledge. Their war cry has been eerily similar to that of the Thousand Suns.
Yep.
They also have a much higher than average level of librarians in the chapter, with their chapter master having to be a psyker. While there has not been an official confirmation, the extensive efforts the Inquisition has gone to hide the Bloodraven origin, combined with their battle doctrine, physical attributes, and fuck me, even their paint scheme, clearly indicates that they use modified Thousand Sun Geneseed.
The pauldrons of the Corvidae, which is one of the basically one of the elements of the Thousand Suns. But I seriously believe what I just said is accurate.
Another cheeky Primaris chapter made by Cole are the Covenant of Fire. Officially, they are
it's these guys,
which seems to check out due to the fire.
This is the guys I was talking about. Look at this. I look at the shoulder pauldron.
Name, but when you look at their symbol, things start to get a bit sus. Okay, fine. Just because they have a word-bearer looking logo doesn't mean they are successors of them. But when we look at their battle doctrine, it starts to get a bit more than sus. They crave knowledge and lore, especially ones that can illuminate and enlighten them. At the same time, they are very zealous, purging heretics and heretical knowledge and material with extreme prejudice. However, other than those 2 hints plus their symbol, there really isn't much else indicating whether or not these guys are word-bearers or salamander successors. If only we got official art of one of them without a helmet, we could tell very quickly. Now for another potential Emperor's Children successor chapter, this one with some serious history. We have the Death Eagles. The Death Eagles were another name for the Emperor's Children during the Great Crusade.
That took a second. Death Eagles in Fulgrim's boys.
Crusade and Horus Heresy, and it's believed that some of the loyal Emperor's children that fought against their own legion reverted back to that name. Some of them are even believed to have survived the Horus Heresy and Scouring, rebranding themselves into Ravengard's successors by painting their armor black and doing their best to look exactly like Ravengard.
Now, most loyalists, and I disagree with the way that the loyalists from Traitor legions were treated. They were pretty much considered traitors in their own right. Most of them destroyed their legion iconography and became something called Black Shields. They would paint their armor all black.
This is further backed up by the fact that the Death Eagles have been around since the end of the Heresy, as well as the fact that the OG Death Eagles published in the White Dwarf magazine in 1990 show them painted in white and purple, much more like the Emperor's Children. Once again though, this one isn't super confirmed, but an interesting one nonetheless. Now onto another potential Iron Warrior successor, we have the Silver Skulls.
Yes.
Whilst it's not super clear if these guys are genuine Iron Warriors, or if they were founded from Ultramarines in order to pay tribute to Barbarous Dantiok for literally saving the Imperium, we can still suss them out and make an assumption. Once again, the Silver Skulls are a very old chapter, dating back to the second founding. This means that in a similar vein to the Death Eagles, they could have been made up of loyalist Iron Warriors. Guilliman heavily respected the loyalist Iron Warriors, especially Barbarous Dantiok, for helping the Ultramarines and literally saving his life. So I can imagine he would have covered for the remaining loyalists, allowing them to pose as Ultramarine successors. After all, they literally have Dantiok's mask as their logo. When Guilliman returned, he said that the Silver Skulls were amongst his sons, but he easily could have just been continuing to cover for them. Their battle tactics also don't really line up with Ultramarines. Their paranoia means that they will only enter into a battle when their librarians receive good omens from the Emperor. They are extremely steadfast and unbreakable, achieving many victories against all odds. They are also completely unfazed by their losses and fight with an intense zeal that can be off-putting to their allies. Definitely sounds a lot more like Iron Warriors than Ultramarines.
It is.
Regardless if they're just a tribute to the loyalist Iron Warriors, actual Iron Warriors, or a blend between the two, they are still worth mentioning on this list. The Soul Drinkers are an interesting case. They were one of the first Imperial Fist successor chapters, and they date back to the second founding. However, at some point shit got weird and chaos intervened in the chapter, causing them to have a high rate of mutation, go renegade, still be kind of loyalist, stand trial for being renegades, had their Geneseed scanned and revealed not to be Imperial Fist successor, before then sacrificing their entire chapter to save the Imperial Fists. Shit got a bit wacky. But if they weren't Imperial Fist, then who the fuck were they? Well, I believe that they were probably originally Imperial Fist. I doubt Dawn would allow a traitor chapter to be made under his name with how angry he was at the time. But in saying that, Dawn did respect the loyalist elements of the traitor legions like Nathaniel Garro, so it's possible the chapter was a mix of numerous different lost legions, which would explain their confusing non-Imperial Fist Geneseed.
It would also explain what happened to all the Black Shields. It would make sense for them to be put into a successor chapter all their own.
It's also possible that over the course of a few centuries, the Agents of Chaos swapped out Soul Drinker Geneseed, hence making them more prone to mutation and corruption. After all, it was revealed that members of the chapter had secretly fallen to Chaos and were trying to fuck shit up. The chapter also had a lot of librarians, something that is uncommon with the Imperial Fists. It's an interesting one, but since they were all killed and the results of the Geneseed scan were never published, we just really don't know. In recent times, a Primaris chapter was formed in their honor, taking on their name, color scheme, and iconography. However, so far it seems as if these guys are actual Imperial Fist successors, and just pay homage to their significantly more heretical predecessors. Now we have the Sons of Antias. Created as a part of the Cursed Founding, these guys could be Death Guard successors. We all know the Cursed Founding was a time of no ethics, a lot of
pronunciation probably got me.
Heresy and wacky experiments. So them using Death Guard Geneseed isn't a massive stretch, especially since they used Iron Warrior Geneseed during the same founding. Officially, they are Ultramarine successors who are mutated to be larger, more resilient, and very hard to kill compared to other Space Marines. I call bullshit. That sounds exactly like the Death Guard, with some people in the lore literally stating that they seem to be just as resilient as the Death Guard. The chapter is also very mysterious and keeps to themselves, leaving war zones and battlefields as soon as their duty is done. This could hint towards them being aware of their true lineage and not wanting to stick around long enough to arouse suspicion. Also, like, when you want to keep your real nature hidden, you would pick the Ultramarines. It's the same as calling yourself John Smith when you're on the run from the cartel. So we've been able to find potential Loyalist chapters for the Emperor's Children, Iron Warriors, Wordbearers, Night Lords, Death Guard, and Thousand Sons. The Alpha Legion are kind of somewhat definitely maybe Loyalists, so they don't really count. That leaves us with the World Eaters and, surprisingly, the Lunar Wolves that don't seem to have any notable successes.
That actually surprises me, yet it doesn't. I would have hoped that we'd see some Lunar Wolves successor chapters, but I doubt that, like, Horus's Legion in of itself would have any, because of, you know, it being Horus that engineered the whole thing. World Eaters, that's a much different story. They were all screwed.
I do, however, suspect that Call would have created at least one of each from the new Primaris chapters, and GW have confirmed that there are numerous Loyalist chapters with Traitor Geneseed in play, so it's just a matter of time before they pop up. After all, the World Eaters before the Butchers Nows were actually pretty fucking awesome. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be, where there's not only a boatload of Battlemace 40 million hentai, but also a bunch of live action nude cosplay photos.
Lovely.
Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more heretically loyal content. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Guys, so if your dad was a traitor, you could still wind up being a loyalist. One of these days, perhaps, maybe. Who knows? Maybe even Prophet could be redeemed, but I doubt that. I highly doubt that. I've completely forgotten about the Death Guard Loyalist Legion. Well, Death Guard Loyalist chapter. I had completely forgotten about that, and I did not know about the Sons of the Phoenix. Just did not. Guys, all the Majorkill's links are going to be in the description down below. As far as some of the other ones, like the Minotaurs are Iron Warriors. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just with the Minotaurs, it's like they were like not even trying to hide it. They just are what they are, and they just wreck. It doesn't really shock me that a lot of these that we know about are primarily Iron Warriors. You have the Minotaur, Silver Skulls, but it doesn't surprise me that so many were from the Iron Warriors, because the Iron Warriors, out of all the Traitor Legions, were the most practical, and they had the least use for chaos. If you'd like to support the channel, leaving a like and a comment is the best way to do it. And if you'd like to support the channel in other ways, I have Patreon down below and merchandise made by Val. I am going to do some stuff, upload some stuff, get some stuff ready to go. And when I get done with that, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm hearing the Warpug's going crazy. I'm going to start writing the next SCP lore video tonight. Latara Sarin's 5-ish minute lore is going off without a hitch. I will see you guys next time. The Thousand Sons are sons of Magnus, and I don't care what anybody says.